Central rivals go head-to-head this weekend when the Pirates face the Cubs at Wrigley.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
And it is Friday, and we say hello on a, well, it depends on where you are, what kind of day it is. If you're in Augusta, you've watched history today. If you're not a golf fan, get ready for some college football conversation with spring games tomorrow. We'll whip around and get the latest on what is going on in South Carolina and Florida and a couple of other places, including Ole Miss and Arkansas. So a very busy show on tap. As usual, we get your phone calls in here pretty quickly, and some of them are dramatic. 855-242-7285. But as Monday night ended, we began our transition into spring football. Obviously, college baseball in full swing, and we'll talk to former Major Leaguer and LSU great Ben McDonald a little bit later on as we get ready for the SEC baseball weekend. But college football is front and center. We had Steve Spurrier on here the other day, some fascinating comments by the old ball coach about his present and his future, and that's where we'll begin our conversation as we whip around the South, getting the latest. Next week we do it again. Alabama and Auburn among the schools next week, and Tennessee 2 weeks from now will have its spring game. We welcome Josh Kendall from the State newspaper to our program. We'll also go to Georgia later on as well, as Mark Rick told us on Monday, I believe. The Dogs have the spring game as well. And Josh covers the Gamecocks. Josh, thanks, and good afternoon. Hope all is well in South Carolina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Before we get to the spring game, I do want to get your reaction to what Steve Spurrier has said a few times, but what he told us the other day, that he's pretty set on 4 and 5 years in the future, staying there, there because you covered the team and were there when he said what he did, and then he walked it back. And obviously, he also reclassified last season as a decent year, 6-6 regular season, 7-6 with that bowl win in Shreveport. Your reaction to what he had to say or has been saying?
Well, in terms of 7-6, that's absolutely a decent year at South Carolina. You could almost turn that, you could trademark that a South Carolina season in the 100 years before Steve Spurrier got here. So if you look at history, he's right. There used to be nothing to shake your head about 7 wins in Columbia. Now they reset the expectations with that 4-year run. That's no longer good enough. In terms of Steve Spurrier being on a 4 or 5 year plan, I mean, my reaction to that is I'll believe 5 years when I see it. I think Steve Spurrier is on a 12-month renewable scholarship every year at this point in his career. As you know, I mean, he's not a guy who makes long pros and cons lists on legal pads and has a 12-month plan. He's going to get up one January, December morning and decide he doesn't want to coach anymore, and he and Jerry are going to pack their bags and going to go to the beach, and that's going to be it. I just don't think he's going to have a victory lap. I don't think there's going to be a lot of thought into it. I think he was close to going last year. And I think every year we go into at this point could be his last.
Josh, I mean, let's get it out of the way. I mean, we all know about his status as one of the great coaches of all time. I've covered him a long time. You've covered him recently. I was still struck a little bit the other day by his couching the season. And I know that he understands the history of South Carolina better than I do, but it still seems strange to hear one of the greatest coaches in college football history defend a 7-6 record. Do you think it's just being in South Carolina and understanding the history, or do you think he was trying to spin it in another way?
I think it's being contrary as much as anything. He got tired of people telling him what a terrible year he had, and he wanted to remind folks that before he got there, that's the kind of year that South Carolina always had. I think his feelings are hurt a little bit that people quit telling him how amazing it was, and it was, that he won 11 games 3 years in a row in SEC East at South Carolina, where a lot of people said you could never win, and where the next guy is going to have, a whole lot of issues living up to what Steve Spurrier did in that 4-year run.
Josh, what should we look for tomorrow, and obviously from that, the upcoming season?
Tomorrow, not much. They've got about 5 or 6 offensive linemen who can play. They're going to play a lot of their young guys. Steve Spurrier will run somebody in off the sideline to catch a touchdown pass and try to have a little fun. But in terms of what it means for the fall, absolutely nothing. I think that they'll rotate their quarterbacks. They'll keep the quarterback competition, at least in theory, going until about 2 weeks before the opener, but it's probably going to be Connor Mitch. But, spring games have never been a huge deal to Steve Spurrier, and tomorrow's not going to change that.
If you had to look ahead, knowing the schedule, knowing the personnel, what would you predict for the upcoming season, Josh?
Maybe another decent year. I think 7-6 is 6-7 is absolutely in the ballpark. Now you look at that and you say that, but they did give away 3 games that they led big midway through the fourth quarter last year. So if you turn those around, you're 10-3. So can they get back to doing that? Maybe they can. But I think that if you're looking into the future, you could be looking at a couple of more decent years coming up here in South Carolina.
That would be a tough way to end. But anyway, thank you very much, Josh. It's always good to catch up. Josh Kendall from the State newspaper. Good to visit.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, that's interesting. Josh Kendall not painting a very pretty picture of the future of South Carolina under Steve Spurrier. Status quo, at least the new status quo, not the 3 years of 11-2. We head now to my good friend Bo Bounds from ESPN Radio in Mississippi, the premier talk show host in that state. And Bo, we talked a lot about Mississippi State. Can they return to where they were a year ago? But the same for Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off of a disappointing end, but still wins over Alabama and Mississippi State. How many times in recent Ole Miss history would anyone say, I don't want that? It sounds pretty good, even though the finish wasn't very good. Nice of you to join us.
Hey, Finebaum. It was great. It was a great year for Ole Miss, and I think the question mark is at the most important position on the field, and that's quarterback. Sometimes Bo Wallace was taken for granted. He was a really good college quarterback. We had him on yesterday, and he may have a shot at the NFL. But the question here is the transfer from Clemson and East Mississippi Community College, and that's Chad Kelly. Will he be able to win the quarterback position at Ole Miss, Paul, and win it going away? Because most people inside the program and fans will tell you that Ryan Buchanan and Devontae Kincaid will not be able to get it done. And if they want to win 8+ games, you have to have at least Bo Wallace-level quarterback play. And if you want to win 9 or 10 with this star-studded junior group, Paul, Kelly will have to be really, really good.
We had someone on yesterday, and he said he thought Ole Miss was in contention with Alabama and Auburn to win the SEC West. Are you buying that?
Ooh. With road games.
Actually, it was Andy Staples from SI.
No, I'm not buying that right now. Not when you have to go to Bama, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Actually, I would think that their schedule last year, hosting Bama, Auburn, and Mississippi State with a senior QB, would be the time to win the West. Maybe Kelly is Bo Wallace or better. If he is, maybe he can actually beat Saban in Tuscaloosa, beat Malzahn on the Plains, and Mullen in Starkville. I would think 2 for 3, and they're doing handstands in Oxford, and that's probably, that's a long shot. So, no, I have Auburn number 1. I have Auburn number 1 in the West, and Saban's going to be there. LSU's a train wreck at the quarterback position. So unless they get Golson or Miller, they're not going to factor in. Mullen and Prescott will. Ole Miss has the talent. I just have to see what are they going to be at the quarterback position and the tailback position, Paul, because they had 2 tailbacks transfer out. Jalen Walton's more of a scat back, and they're bringing in a signee. So you have a new QB, and you could potentially have a new tailback carrying the ball 10 to 13 times a game. I think those are big, big question marks in Oxford. But the roster is very talented, as you know, with Laramie Tunsil, Treadwell, Tony Connor, and Kim Beachy, all true juniors who are expected. This is expected to be their last year in Oxford.
Bo, always good to catch up. Enjoyed the visit a few weeks ago on your show, and I hope you'll come back here soon.
Thanks, Paul. Take care.
You bet. Bo Bounds, one of the best from Mississippi. And next up, Mark Weiser covers the Georgia Bulldogs. You heard from Mark Richt earlier this week. He wasn't predicting much for the spring game. And, Mark, what has been the mood of the Dogs as the spring has unfolded and as we get ready for tomorrow's spring game in Athens?
Yeah, it's been typical spring where the quarterback competition obviously is front and center, which hadn't happened at Georgia since 2010. You had Murray entrenched, Aaron Murray as a 4-year starter, and Hudson Mason was there as the heir apparent. So all eyes have been on that QB battle, and it's been a little more interesting than you might have thought going in with Bryce Ramsey kind of as the guy that was considered the favorite, and Fatone Bauta came in as a guy that had been, third string and putting a little heat on him so far.
Mark, certainly expectations are always sky high in Georgia, and you couldn't classify last year as a train wreck in any stretch. I mean, it was really a good season. It's just the Dogs had one or two, or three, I should say, inexplicable losses. What's the feeling now in terms of moving forward with Alabama in Athens, although there are some fairly difficult road games, as everyone knows? What's the feeling about finally getting back to Atlanta and the SEC East title?
I think the expectation, every year is pretty much that they have the capability, the talent base to get to Atlanta. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw Missouri, either before last season or the year before as being able to wreck that plan for Georgia, and Georgia had to go at the last month of the season with the SEC East race out of its hands, needing Missouri to stumble, and it didn't happen. And it was a strange season in that you had the Todd Gurley suspension hanging over the program, as they headed into October, and then, would you have him back? And then the Florida game was just inexplicable, the way that they ran all over them. And then you had Nick Chubb emerge into, a stud running back, every bit as good as Todd Gurley. So I think, with Nick Chubb back for his sophomore year and the defense in the second year under Jeremy Pruitt, the schedule with South Carolina at home, Alabama coming to Athens as well, they feel like that they have the horses to make another run, get to Atlanta.
Many thanks, Mark. I do appreciate your time very much. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mark Weiser from Georgia, and now we welcome in our good friend Pat Dooley, the sports columnist in Gainesville. Pat, good afternoon, and I know there is a spring game, but I do want to start with some sad news. Ray Grace passed away today, even though he was, I believe, 96 years old. His place in the history of the University of Florida, both as head coach and athletic director, certainly stands very tall, does it not?
Absolutely, Paul. I mean, he pretty much made Florida relevant at a time when it wasn't very relevant, and never won the SEC, but he kind of got things going at Florida, and won 9 games 3 different times, which is pretty amazing at that time when they were only playing 10 games sometimes. So brought Steve Spurrier to Gainesville. For nothing else, he'll be remembered for that because that obviously changed everything in Florida history. And he did a lot of things as an AD too. He really ushered in the beginning of women's sports here at Florida and the Title IX and everything. So, and I loved, I was talking to a bunch of those players, talked to Carlos Alvarez today and Steve Spurrier, of course, and they said, look, he just made you feel like you were part of his family, and he was loved till the very last breath he took. And I think if every coach in the country can know that they were loved by all their players, that's a pretty good legacy to have right there.
No doubt. Before I get to the spring game, there has been a lot of speculation about Billy Donovan in recent days from ESPN and other places. I know you have had a chance to visit that topic and him recently. What's your best guess?
Well, my best guess is nothing's changed from a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I mean, I just think, if somebody comes and has an offer for him, he'll listen as he's listened in the past. He's intrigued with the NBA when you're doing nothing but coaching, but I was talking to somebody the other day, it's just a different set of problems up at that level. I mean, you got guys out at 4 a.m. getting stabbed and getting in trouble and all kinds of, so you've got other issues there. You don't have to worry about grades or recruiting, but you have other things. But at the same time, I don't think there's, in talking to him or just texting with him and some other people that are close to him, there's no heightened interest. There's no, it's time for me to get out of here. And if you know Billy Donovan, you know that he probably doesn't want to leave after a 16-17 season. He wants to get things straightened out. So I don't think it's any different than it was a year ago at this time. And some teams came calling. He wasn't interested at the time. He didn't like the fits or whatever. And I think it's exactly the same situation this year.
Pat, the spring game reveals a lot or reveals very little. It doesn't sound like, from the expectations I hear from Mac and others, we're going to learn very much tomorrow.
No, I think other than 1990, I'm not sure that there's ever been a spring game that I've walked away from thinking anything more than I should, because 1990 was obviously when Shane Matthews took over the quarterback job, and you said, hey, who's this Shane Matthews guy? And turned out to be a great player, of course. But no, it's going to be a controlled scrimmage to a point. I mean, they're going to go offense against defense and keep score. But with 6 offensive linemen that are on scholarship, which I was mentioning that to Spurrier today, and he said, that's all we got, too. So I think it's a problem for a lot of places. You get guys banged up during the spring, and you don't want to take any chances with guys. But I think more than anything tomorrow, Paul, what we'll see is what the base of this offense will look like. We're not going to see the offense, but we're going to see the base of what their plays are that they want to run. And I think that'll be the interesting thing to me, because we haven't been allowed to see spring practice, so we don't know what they've got. We've talked to former players who have been out there, and the consensus is they're going to be they've got a lot of NFL players in the secondary, but that their passing game is still got a long, long way to go. And, we're not, I think, the level of expectation shouldn't be very high. They've got a lot of issues with numbers in a lot of areas. Offensive line, linebacker. I don't know that they have a great running back, for example. Kelvin Taylor went for 197 or whatever it was against Georgia. I think he had 300-something yards in the rest of their game. So it's not like he was a consistent performer. Adam Lane had a great Birmingham Bowl, and we didn't even know he was on the team until then. So, their freshmen are going to have to play, and they're going to have to be significant players next year for Florida, especially on the offensive line, maybe a tailback, and maybe something on the defensive line as well.
Many thanks, Pat. Good to visit with you recently at the tournament, and obviously we'll talk soon.
Anytime, Paul. We'll talk to you later.
Great stuff. Pat Dooley, one of the outstanding columnists in the country from the Gainesville Sun. Very quick whip around the 4 games tomorrow, giving you nuggets that you can look for as you sit in front of your television and see what's happening around the SEC.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
For those of you watching on television, we just previewed Shaq and Dale on Monday night, 9 Eastern on the SEC Network. And you talk about bringing back some memories. I remember sitting at press row that night at the old Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center, and it clearly was the wildest scene I've ever seen. For those of you who are not watching and listening during the break, they replayed the infamous quarterfinal situation on a Friday night when Carlos Groves of Tennessee went up and literally mugged Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille came down and tried to throw Groves off of him, and then Dale Brown comes onto the court like Don Quixote, and I've known Dale Brown a long time. I'm not sure. I may have been the only person in that arena that stood up for him. I wrote a column that came out the next morning defending him, and it may have been the most unpopular column of my career, but I still believe Dale Brown was right. Dale Brown joins us, the former LSU coach. Coach, thanks for being with us. We were just watching that scene from Birmingham in the SEC tournament, and brought back some incredible visions and memories of you. Wow, what a night.
Well, Paul, we'll talk about it, but what I was pondering talking to you, I thought, now I know I'm not your coach or your mentor, but I'm really proud of you. I can remember when you were a young student. In fact, I knew, and I'm not trying to sound like Nostradamus, but you had a troika of things that I knew as a young person you'd be successful. And those 3 things, as a young boy you were bright, you were inquisitive, and you weren't intimidated by anybody.
Well,
so
thank
those
you.
are pretty good qualities. Now,
Coach, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. To get back to that Tennessee game, this is not to defend anything, but I'm going to give you the facts. There had been numerous, and I forget how many, And John Guthrie was a dear friend of mine. He's passed now. We coached against each other. We were really good friends. I called him on 3 different occasions, and I said, John, there's these flagrant fouls. Shaquille's going to get hurt, or worse yet, he's keeping his cool, but he's going to turn around and deck somebody. The referee's got to clean this up. Well, I'll be darned. It wasn't, maximum 2 weeks before the SEC tournament. We're playing Tennessee. And we were, I believe we were nearly 30 points ahead of them. And that happened, and immediately, and Shaquille got really the short end of the pole. He should have never been suspended. All he was trying to do was I saw Shaquille's knee go out, and I thought, oh, no, there's his career. So I was going out on the court to tell Carlos Groves, truthfully, and I don't want to insult his parents, but you're a punk for acting like that. And when I got to him, he kind of swung with his hand, and I was just pushing him away, and Andre Patillo came in. So there was no way that I went out there to punch somebody, even though I was out there. And I remember a guy following me back to the dressing room, a reporter. Well, he said, can't the 7-footer? He said, he's 7 foot, 300 pounds. He said, why do you take a guy like you to defend him? And I remember I turned to him and I said, is it not fashionable for a white man to defend a black man? Well, he never did anything from there on in. But that was a sad incident. Would you like to live your life over again? You'd correct a lot of things. I still would go out on the floor. I would do the identical thing I did. There was no deal about me going out to deck a guy, but I just saw it happen too much. You sent your son to me. You trusted me. I have to protect him, and that's all I was trying to do. I'm not trying to sound like St. Francis of Assisi here, but.
Well, but Coach, that's who you were, and that's who you've always been, and I think maybe that's why, because I had known you since college, I understood what you were doing, while the 15 or 18,000 people in the stands didn't comprehend that, and that's why you were being roundly booed and assailed.
I remember Paul telling C.M. Newton, who was a good friend of mine, we were at an SEC meeting in Destin, and I said, don't take this wrong what I'm going to tell you, C.M., but some of us are donned with a black hat, and some of us are donned with a white hat. I happen to be the guy because I'm outspoken, I'm controversial, I try to speak from my heart instead of my head first, and you're always going to wear the white cap. You could do the same things I do, but you got the white cap on. So I said, I'm happy to fulfill that. That's the way it has to be. And I think that's the way it is with a lot of people. But the only thing that counts, my mother told me this, Paul, and I know we're going to get to the film here in a minute, but I think I learned this from her. One night she came home for babysitting, and I waited up for her. We lived in a one-room apartment with a bar and a hardware store, and we only had one chair, and she asked me to sit in the chair. She pulled up the footstool, and she said, son, I'm really embarrassed to tell you this. Well, my mother embarrassed? I never heard her smoke, swear, talk about anybody. So I said, what's that, Mama? She said, well, what happened, son? She said, whenever these big shots, I've got to go babysit for these big shots. She said, I'm so self-conscious. She said that they'll be, that they're going to realize that there's no man in the house and I'm on welfare and my clothes smell like mothballs because we get them at the Army scale. So she's Dale. You know what I do? I go look up big words in the dictionary. Then I study these big words, and when I get in the car to go to their homes, she said, I inject these big words into conversation so they won't ask me questions about, what's my education, what's this? And she said, son, please don't ever do that. I'm embarrassed. She said, you know what that is, son? That's making an image. And Dale, if you spend too much time polishing your image, you'll eventually tarnish your character. Be who you are. So as a result, maybe if she had a ninth grade education, she'd have told me, just shut up sometimes. Don't open your mouth 24 hours a day. But that's just the way I was built. And I think the nice thing I like about this video of Hannah Storm, who's an artist, by the way, we had no script. She didn't direct us to what to do. She said, you guys just talk natural, where you met and how when you came to the home. And I think that's the beauty of this video with Shaq and me.
Well, yeah, and it will air. And just being with him, I'm sure, it's not like you haven't been with Shaq many, many times since you first brought him to LSU. But what was that experience like for you, Coach?
It was really special. We talked off the camera. Of course, we were just natural on the camera. But I saw it for the first time last night, the ending of the show, and I almost bawled because that's really there's a part of him that most people don't know, and I don't know if I shared this with you before, but it's worth sharing. Everybody talks about him being an All-American, one of the greatest players ever in the Hall of Fame, and NBA star, and the championships he's won in the NBA, blah, blah, blah. But the real depiction of Shaquille O'Neal, Paul, comes from a telephone call I got when he was playing with the Lakers. They were going to play in Indianapolis that particular day, and if they lost the game to the Pacers, the series was over. It wouldn't go back to L.A. Early in the morning, I got a call from a woman, and I can't remember her name, but she told me she was originally from Baton Rouge. And she said, I don't want to be presumptuous. I hate to do this, but she said, my little son has had terrible brain cancer and tumors. He's operated on, but he's probably not going to live. And she said, Shaquille O'Neal is his hero. She said, I read in the papers this morning, the Lakers are playing here. And Coach Brown, I'm just embarrassed to ask you this, but could I give you my cell number? And could you just have Shaquille call my cell? And I'll hold it up to my son's ear. Maybe the last voice you hear is his hero. And I said, ma'am, I will call Shaquille. I can't promise anything. It's a big game. I'll try to get a hold of him. I hung up instantly, called him on his cell, and he answered. I told him the story. And when he's going to do something, Paul, he says, gotcha, Coach. He says, gotcha, Coach. That was the end of it. 2 years later, in one of my favorite restaurants in town, having lunch, a lady comes up to me. She introduced herself. She gave the name again, and I'm sorry I can't remember, but she said, I'm the mother of the young boy. Oh, I said, I know who you are. I said, you're the mother that had the little boy with the brain tumor, and you called me and wanted me to get a hold of Shaquille and talk to him. I'm his mother. I said, did he ever call? No, Coach Brown, he didn't. I said, he didn't. She said, no. He came to the hospital, Coach, for 1 hour. My son hadn't opened his eyes in days. She said he sat there. He told him jokes. She said he sang to him little verses. And all of a sudden, my son opened his eyes and talked to Shaquille. Well, that's not been in any national magazines. It's not been on any national news. But all that Duncan and all the millions he's got, that isn't who he is. And a final story. We're having dinner at his place in Miami, and he leaves the room and he comes back and he lays a picture on my knee. And it's a picture of it, not even, it might be a timeline, his hands on his knees, and I got my arms in the air showing something, and on the picture, he wrote, Dear Coach Brown, because you taught me how to listen, they now say I'm the best center in the history of the NBA. Thanks for teaching me to listen. So he's really a good guy. I would not any way want to give anybody the impression that I'm the one that developed him, because I wasn't. He had a very strict, tough, hard-nosed stepfather that was a sergeant, but he had the sweetest, kindest, loving mother that was the glue of the family. So he came here a pretty good product. I just hope I added something to it.
No doubt. Coach, I say this every time we talk, but I can't wait till the next time. It was just an incredible pleasure to be with you again.
Well, same here, Paul, and don't forget, you're the troika of things. And as soon as the Gracie Blackburn called me, and I thought, man, I'm proud of him, that young, little old teenager. But I knew instantly, and I say, I'm not Nostradamus, but I'm not a savant, but you were bright, you were inquisitive, and by golly, people wouldn't intimidate you. There are very few out there.
Thank you, Coach. Talk soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Oh, what a pleasure. Dale Brown.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
It's been a fun show on a Friday. A lot of guests, not too many calls. Maybe that's why it's been so fun. We haven't heard from Lance yet. That is about to change. Lance is up next from Tennessee. Good afternoon, Lance.
Hey, Paul. How you doing today, brother?
Okay, good to hear from you, buddy.
Man, I really appreciate Marcus Spears, and I appreciate his nice comments yesterday. Appreciate the support. One thing I love when Marcus Spears talks, because I always remember when he returned that touchdown against Oklahoma, turned them into Oklahoma, baby. It's been, hey, Bob Stoops ain't done nothing since, I don't think. But what about, tell me about Jim McElwain, Paul, because I know you just coached the Alabama program at one time. Because I don't know if you agree with this, but as far as quarterback situation, it's been the biggest problem in Florida. And I think Joe McElwain's a special kind of guy with quarterbacks because Barry McElroy ain't the most talented guy. I think he's elite above the shoulders, but I don't think he's the most talented guy. And I think Joe McElwain got a lot out of Barry McElroy. You think he can help our quarterback?
Yeah, listen, I knew Mac pretty well, and he was a key element in what Alabama did in winning those titles. So I think from that standpoint, I'm very high on him. I loved the hire when it was made. I think he will have a transition that could be difficult, but that's just an opinion based on the schedule and based on the personnel.
I know everybody wants to win this year, but it might not happen. I mean, I wouldn't be the one to ask about the Florida schedule because I'm real biased when it comes to football. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I see 10-2, but I see that every year. But I think Tennessee will be 9-3, and I think Georgia will be 7-5. So I'm really thinking Tennessee and Missouri's going to have it. But one more thing about Coach Mack, though. I mean, our quarterback, I thought Trey Harris was pretty good last year. I think Coach Mack can really help him out because I think he understands matchups. And because that 2009 SEC championship game when they beat Florida, the offense held the ball for 40 minutes in that game. And I know everybody gives T-ball a hard time, but it's hard to win when you only got the ball for 19 minutes.
That is very true. Everything else okay, Lance? We were worried about you yesterday.
Oh, man, everything's good, Paul. I didn't mean to get crazy on you. Just all that punk talk, man, getting me going, man. I didn't mean to get real personal on you, Paul.
Well, no, let me say this to you. I mean, we may argue, but I mean, I was criticized by some, but when you told me your backstory, and I know you've alluded to it in the past, it got to me. I mean, I really admire what you tried to do in your life, in spite of the histrionics that often occur here.
Well, coming from you, Paul, that means a lot. I mean, like I say, I really don't want a lot of respect for being a parent because I think a lot of people do it. I mean, to me, I don't understand people that don't do it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a big deal, but I mean, it is a big deal, but I don't know. I just feel weird when people tell me I'm a great dad.
Well, no, I'm not so much saying that. It was more the fact that that you work hard, that you stood up for what you believed in. I don't know the circumstances, and it's none of my business. But that's what got to me. Not.
I swear to you. I swear to you. I work 6 days a week. I go in at 5:30 in the morning, and I get off at 2 o'clock just in time to call your show. Man, this show's meant so much to me, and I know I'm in your face, and I'm a kind of a brass caller, man, but I didn't know, man, because at first it was like, keep the smack talk going, and I thought I was telling one of you good callers. I didn't mean to get over the top with it. I just really take sports serious, man, and some things people say just drive me nuts, man.
Well, listen, I mean, what you said, I mean, what I liked about it, you had a theme, and you never deviated, never even changed the subject, but you turned out to be right, so you deserved your walk in the sun. I probably got a little carried away, but anyway, we're all good. We're all good in spite of what happens next week.
And one more thing about Philip, forgot to mention about Kentucky fans. One other thing they always talk about next year, kind of like Auburn fans. You know what I'm talking about? You be good, Paul. Thank you.
Hey, good to hear from you, Lance. Quiet moment from Lance. How about Joseph next in Tuscaloosa? Hey, Joseph.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Hey, man, next time Tammy comes here calling, complaining about you, make her ass wait to re-election day. Now, look here, man. Look, she's already calling, and I'm telling you, the whole thing, she needs to be in the factory after war. Man, when you start a war with me, listen, you do that. You want to block me on Twitter? That shows you're less than a man. When you get into a war with me, and you want to tweet me for 2 hours, that's good. Go ahead, try. But guess what? Finish the job. Don't unblock me when you start something you can't finish. That makes you less than a man.
So who blocked? So hold on a second. I-Man blocked you on Twitter?
Yeah, they're going to start a Twitter war with me, but then you're going to sit here and block me because you can't handle me? That's why we call him less than a man. That's why he's no, man, I see what Jim's talking about more and more. Charles, no, so you're going to make him thrust to people. Okay, talking about a country boy ass, but let me tell you something. I'll give you a little sparring match. I'll let you come towards me. I'll put both hands by my back. You know what? I'll let you come towards me and I'll beat your ass so hard. I'll put you in my back pocket. I'll feed your point till you get big enough to eat.
Okay, Joseph, come on. You're gonna have to keep it clean here, pal. We're not going down that road. Thank you for the call. Bill is up next in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Paul. I really enjoyed the interview with Dale Brown.
Thank you.
Shifting subjects a minute. With Spurrier and his comments, do you think he was taking a page out of the old Bear Bryant role? Do you ever remember Bear Bryant saying he was going to have a great season I don't.
No. I'll tell you a quick story, Bill. My first year, I covered Bryant. It was close to the end, and I went to his press conference. I was a young reporter. I was taught when someone says something, you take them literally. And I think they were playing Arkansas State. They were like a 50 or 60 point favorite. So someone asked Coach Bryant, Coach, what do you think about Arkansas State? He said, I tell you what, I'm scared to death. This might be the toughest game we've had all year. So I went back and wrote that literally. Bear Bryant said that, and my editor called me and said, you can't write that. I said, well, that's what he said. He said, but he doesn't believe that. Bryant was always communicating to his team, to his fans, and to the other team, and maybe Spurrier's doing that right now.
Well, I think it is. I just when he said that, I just remembered some of the lines that Bear Bryant made. I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, went to UGA. The other thing about Spurrier, I had my best friend played basketball with Spurrier at Science Hill in Tennessee. And Paul, he was, according to my friend, I never saw it, but he was a basketball player than he was a football player.
No, I've heard that. I mean, he was a three-sport player, and I do remember I went to school in Knoxville and had friends from Johnson City, and I may have met his coach one time or someone who coached with or against him, and I heard that. Can you imagine Steve Spurrier actually has the makeup of a basketball player and coach. He once told me that, I asked him, I said, why are you always, why are you always trash talking or smack talking? Talk a little bit. Tell me about your philosophy. We were playing golf one day right after I met him, and he expressed himself as a basketball coach and as a basketball player much more than a football player and football coach.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you. He's a great man, and I just believe he's playing up to the fans and the press on the comments he made, because he's a better coach than that.
Bill, thank you. And by the way, it's a cliche now because you've heard it, but I asked him right after I first met him, I said, you have a reputation for running up the score. I mean, he would beat Kentucky 66-3, and he said, that's not my problem. He said, I don't worry about that. I said, what do you mean you don't worry about that? He said, my job is to score points. Their job is to stop me. That's the old Steve Spurrier. Let's check out Michael next in Cullman, Alabama. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Paul, I respect your opinion. And, look, Spurrier has beaten Saban when Bama was number one. Spurrier was the first pick of Mount Moore, and Saban was sloppy seconds. Everybody knows that, okay? Now, look, if Bill Battle had a chance to trade Saban for Spurrier, I think he would. I mean, I know you don't think so. I know Saban's had a lot of success, but everybody would have success if they could recruit like Saban has, and Alabama lends, coaches to do that. So, look, I just think you owe him an apology. If you could just say you were sorry for just one season. The guy has won 11 straight games for the last 3 years, and he has one bad season, and you kind of jump all over him. And I know that's your MO. I know that you go after coaches, but he deserves a little more respect than that. And I think, you're backtracking a little bit. I just think, if you could apologize to him, that would be great.
Bill is next, and Bill is next in Arkansas. Hey, Bill, thanks for the call.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? I was listening to you and Marcus Spears talk a while ago and enjoyed that. I didn't call the fuss at you like the rest of the people today.
That's okay.
And you talk to Marcus again, tell him we're finding place crappie fish.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to eat one meal in Arkansas, Bill, what would it be?
Well, I don't have many teeth, so I probably wouldn't eat nothing. But
I tell you what, when we were there in Fayetteville, I cannot remember the name of the restaurant, but I mean, it was an epic meal. It was some kind of shack, although it really was a big restaurant. But I'll think of the name of it. But Arkansas, believe it or not, I mean, Fayetteville has some pretty amazing restaurants. I know you're in Jonesboro right now. I've been there, but I'm not as familiar with the culinary delights of that town as I am Fayetteville.
Oh, yeah, they got plenty of good places to eat up there, too. Jonesboro's like a 65,000 people town, so it's... I just want to call and tell you that, and I like on Marcus, and I hope he's right about Arkansas, and I appreciate you taking my call, Paul.
Okay, I think it may have been Herman's or something. I don't know. I'll think of the name of the restaurant in Fayetteville, but anyway, it was great.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Jamie and Christy, our sports club girls in Arkansas. What's going on, ladies?
Hey, Paul.
Hey there. What's happening on a Friday afternoon in Arkansas?
Oh, we're just, cutting hair. Watching you.
Was it pretty quiet afternoon at the shop or what?
It's a quiet afternoon. It wasn't a quiet morning, but it's a quiet afternoon now. We saw the interview that Marcus Spears was doing in Fayetteville, and you sound like you're going to be rooting for the Hogs this year.
Man, I mean, for those who who just joined us, Marcus gave Arkansas a shot at the college football playoff.
Yeah.
You ladies agree or not?
Yes, we agree.
Okay.
But we want you to agree that you're going to be a Razorback fan with us.
Well, I am a Razorback fan. I will say this. I don't think I agree with Marcus, though.
Hey, now. Be careful.
Hey, Jamie and Christy, let me remind you, a year ago, Arkansas was still trying to get its first SEC win under Brett Bielema. So I'm not trying to put the hog before the horse, or whatever the saying is in Arkansas. I think a good season, and I don't know. I mean, I haven't really studied the schedule yet, but I think that's maybe just a little bit optimistic.
We got to be optimistic. I don't know. Brett Bielema is a really good recruiter, so I'm excited.
Okay, we have the schedule up. Let me. I mean, if you had to. Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I mean, UTEP, Toledo, Texas Tech, and A&M at home. That's a really nice way to start the season. Then at Tennessee, at Alabama, back-to-back. Ooh, that's murderer's row right there. No, at Tennessee, at Alabama, at LSU, at Ole Miss. I can't go for an SEC West title with that schedule.
Oh, Paul, we're going to keep in touch with you quite often, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, I feel terrible. I just got a haircut this week, so if I'd been in Searcy, I could have gotten the 2-for-1 special.
I know. We noticed that you got a haircut. We said something about it yesterday that you gotten a haircut. Our hands were kind of hurt.
Yeah. Listen. I mean, I'm trying to think. From where I am to you, it's probably no more than 600 or 700 miles. That would have been a long drive for a haircut.
Yeah. Well, you need to come, and you need to bring Tim Tebow with you, please.
Yeah.
And also, we sent you a photo on your Twitter of us girls, all of us girls that work here. So.
Oh my goodness! When are you going to send us a picture?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, a while back.
Okay. Well,
if we need to. We'll send you another one, so that way we'll be.
Yeah, make sure we make. What's that? Yeah, email the show, Jamie and Christy. Paul Finebaum Show at ESPN.com. Next time you call in, we will show the world what Searcy, Arkansas has to offer when it comes to great haircutters.
Woo-hoo! All right, we got to call the Hogs.
Okay.
Pig, silly. Pig, silly. Pig, silly. Razorbacks.
I like the harmony, ladies. I will next haircut. I'm there. Thank you.
Hey, we're excited, Paul. Thank
you. Hope to see you soon. Man, the Arkansas fans giving the duo in Alabama a run for their money there.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Let's continue with more phone calls. And Robert in Memphis is calling next. How are you, Robert?
I'm good. How are you, Paul?
Very well.
Well, look, man, I was just calling to ask you a question.
Okay.
So I've been watching the ESPN website lately, and a lot of times I've been seeing Nick Saban and his football team on the cover or on the front page or whatever. Never once have I seen Hugh Freeze on there. I want you to tell me why that is. I mean, it's obvious that Hugh Freeze is a better coach. Why is that, Paul?
Okay, let me make sure I understand the question again, Robert. Nick Saban's picture is on the front page of what?
The ESPN website.
Okay. Well, the ESPN website, I mean, I'm not in charge of the ESPN website, but I think it changes periodically.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, you see a lot more pictures of Saban than you do of Hugh Freeze on that front page or whatever it's called. I mean,
Okay. Let me ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay.
You obviously are a big fan of Hugh Freeze, is that correct?
Well, yeah, I'm a huge Ole Miss fan.
Well, and by the way, I am a big fan of Hugh Freeze as well, but how would you compare and contrast the careers of Hugh Freeze versus Nick Saban?
Well, look, obviously Nick Saban has had success. I'm not going to deny that. And Hugh Freeze has been, you know, he used to be, you know, a coach here at a high school in town. But he's, you know, look what he's done in the past, however, it's like 3 years that he's been at Ole Miss. I don't know the exact number. But he's been here for a long time. I'm just saying, look what he's done in that time. I mean, you look at his first year and Saban's first year. It's obvious who had the better first year. And good night, I'm going to tell you what. You know what? Hugh Freeze, you know what he does? He's the cleanest coach around. He don't buy no players. The reason Saban has all that talent in there is because he's buying up all his players.
Hold, time out, Robert. Let's acknowledge that Hugh Freeze is a clean coach, okay?
Okay.
Now, what coach were you suggesting is buying players?
I'm saying Nick Saban's buying a bunch of players. How would people like Amari Cooper and Blake Sims go up to Bama without him paying them? I mean, you don't think all the good players would choose the same school? I don't think that's right. I think he's paying them all.
Some remember the Kimdichie class at Ole Miss. A lot of people were wondering how Ole Miss got all those players.
Well, it wasn't like they were going to be first-round draft picks like all the Amari Cooper and all them. I mean, Alabama has a first-round draft pick every single year. I mean, this year we're going to probably have a third-rounder and a few behind that. But, I mean, good night. You can't say that, that they have all the first-round picks. We only get, like, third-round picks at the best. I'm just saying, good night.
So what are you saying here, Robert?
Oh, good night.
You're saying Hugh Freeze is an honest coach and Nick Saban isn't? Is that right?
Well, that's one of the reasons. I'm also telling you that if you put Hugh Freeze in Nick Saban's spot, that Hugh Freeze would win a national title every year.
Every year?
Every single year that he's been there, yes.
Would you agree
Watch
that...
it, Benny. Good night, it's dead. Sorry, Paul, what were you saying? You still there, Paul?
Who is Jimmy, by the way?
Denny, he wants to bury his goldfish in the backyard. I told him he can't do that. Sorry, what were you saying?
I'm not really sure. Now, you said Jenny?
Denny.
Denny.
And
Denny wanted to be...
Why are you still on this topic? Can we not go back to Hugh Freeze?
Let me offer, Robert, my sincerest condolences on the loss of your goldfish.
Oh, it was my kids. Don't worry.
Okay. The world is a lonelier place today without that. What was the goldfish named?
Goldie or something is one of those real not original names, My kid just names it whatever
Now, Robert, let me ask, you live in Memphis, right?
Yep, sure do.
I'm from Memphis.
Hey, really? I think you told me that last time, Paul.
Yeah. The last time you called in, if I remember correctly, you were suggesting that Bo Wallace ought to be drafted pretty high, right?
Well, yeah, and my opinion has not since changed. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Okay. But that's not why you called today. Today you called to ask me why Nick Saban gets more attention than Hugh Freeze.
Well, yeah, I would think that's like a reasonable question because, good night. Hugh Freeze has obviously done more with the players he's got than Saban has because, good night. even though Saban's been in playoff in the national title game for the past however many years, if Hugh Freeze had had that crew, he would have been in the same place.
Yeah.
He probably would have beaten Ohio State with that. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, let's review the Ole Miss season. I mean, Ole Miss lost to TCU in the bowl game.
Look, I'm just going to tell you, I think they were the best team in the country. I tell you, if we had played them in the national title game with Alabama's talent, it would have happened the same way. I'm just telling you, I want you to quit talking about that game, Paul. If we throw that game out of the picture, you can tell me about any other game you want to.
Okay.
That game is just not, I mean, that don't even count. That we were playing the best, far and away, the best team in the country that day, Paul. And when you play the best team in the country, I mean, we probably win, 4 out of 10 probably against them. But I mean, I still think they're the best team in the country, and you can't make fun of their loss.
Okay, you have my Scout's honor, Robert. I won't mention the TCU beatdown again. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so where were we?
Well, you had just said we got to review the Ole Miss season, so I guess we better start doing that.
Well, listen, I don't want to besmirch Ole Miss. I'm a big Ole Miss fan. I love Coach Freeze. I'm actually going to be in Oxford.
Oh, are you sure about that? After all the ripping you've done on Bo Wallace, I don't know if you really like Ole Miss that much.
Bo Wallace, you said?
Yeah, I mean, you may like Hugh, but I don't think you're a huge Ole Miss fan. You may say you are, but I think you got to like all our players. I mean, you can't just be hating on one.
Well, I mean, I'm not overly impressed with Bo Wallace.
Well, I mean, you may not be. I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC.
Which SEC are we talking about?
The SEC. Good night. You're telling me you were on the SEC network. You don't know which SEC I'm talking about. Wow, Paul. Good night. I cannot believe this.
I can't believe it either. Robert, seriously, would you ever be interested in co-hosting the show with us one day?
Absolutely. As long as you don't talk about that TCU game.
No, I don't mention that anymore.
Okay, you better not.
What's on tap for the weekend, Robert?
I don't know. I'm here in Memphis. I don't know where you are. Where are you, Paul?
I'm in North Carolina today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get out there. That's like, 12 hours away or something?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to be in Oxford in a month. Maybe we can do it there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Are you, I mean, I realize Memphis is, I mean, I'll probably fly in to Memphis. Maybe you could meet me at the airport.
Hey, I think that's a good idea. But, hey, I got a question. Can we get back to this topic? I still don't know who you think is better, Bama or Hugh Freeze or Saban.
Saban.
Why are you saying that? What basis do you have? There's no basis for that.
Well, yes, there is. How about let's start with 4 national championships, okay?
Well, look, I've already told you that if Saban had been, or if Hugh Freeze had been in Saban's place, that he would have won that same amount.
How many titles has Coach Freeze won?
Well, look, first of all, you got to look at that. He don't have near as much talent as Saban does. If he did, he would have 4 or 5 or even 6, maybe. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
you shut your mouth, Paul. I ain't done yet. I'm gonna tell you if you put Saban or you put Bama's talent in Hugh, he would have won a title every year.
Every year.
Every single year he's been there. Because look at all that talent Bama has. He's Saban's buying up with some players. I got news for you, Paul. If Hugh Freeze did buy players and got all that talent, he would be winning titles every year.
Listen, Robert, why don't we end on a good note, but I don't want to upset you any more than I've already upset you. I know you've lost your goldfish, Goldie, or whatever her name was. And
are you still on that?
I told you I wouldn't talk. I'm not going to talk about the TCU loss anymore, so I have to talk about something.
Okay, well, then let's talk about this. What do you think that if I said if you put Saban, or if you put Saban in the place of Hugh Freeze, I thought about putting Hugh Freeze and Saban. I think if you put Saban in Hugh Freeze's place,
I mean, do you realize what Hugh Freeze's record in 3 years at Ole Miss is?
No, I ain't counted games. I don't have time to do that.
Well, I'll count them for you. It's 24-15.
Look, Paul, I got news for you. You spend too much time looking at the talent that Hugh does have.
Freeze has an 11-13 SEC record. You know how long it's been? Do you have any idea how long it's been since Nick Saban has lost a total of 13 SEC games?
Well, yeah, because he's cheating and buying all these stinking players, Paul. You got to look at the facts.
Okay, well, why don't we end it here, Robert? Have a good weekend. Nice of you to call, and good night.
Oh, good night. Seriously, you can't be using my saying, Paul. That's mine.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Larry is up next in Missouri. Larry, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Mr. Finebaum, how you get along today?
Okay.
Hey, great. Hey, I tell you what, I got to give the old Finebaum show credit here. Now, I mean, not only is it a football show, but it's bringing families together. I mean, I guarantee you, Lance and Robert have been separated at birth. I mean, I'm glad y'all are bringing them back together. I'm not sure which one has a bigger brain. I figured maybe Lance, but I'm not exactly sure. But as far as Lance, too, now, I mean, really, he talks about anything other than Duke. He sounds like the old noodle dog sitting on the porch watching the pack go by. Now, this dude don't know anything but Duke, which is actually fairly sad. But then I'll talk about Arkansas here. I was calling in a little bit today, but, I'd rather have a plate of bacon. I mean, they ain't going to do anything. It's all about quarterback play. I don't care how many running backs you got. Hell, Barry Sanders would have won. Oklahoma State would have won. You can have all the pounders.
I think Marcus Spears' big point was that they have, 9 of the 11 offensive starters back. He really put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got to have the trigger, man. That's why Oklahoma sucked so bad last year. Trevor Knight had the one game of his whole career. He won't even be the starter. Baker Mayfield definitely beat him out. But you got to have a quarterback, and I just don't see him having one. Didn't have one last year. Ain't got one this year. And the last thing I'll say, there was a call yesterday that really did touch my heart. Bourbon, you know what? Because myself, I love old granddad. Thanks, Paul. Sir.
Good to hear from you. Linda is up next in Alabama. Hey, Linda. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
It's been a little while since we've had a conversation, hasn't it?
Indeed.
I just wanted to say this week has been spectacular. One great interview after another. And Avery Johnson, the OBC, Steve Spurrier, Tony Barnhart, today with Marcus Spears, the big swagoo. I could just go on and on. But I must say this about you, Paul. You are a great interviewer. You ask all the right questions. You allow whoever you interview you give them ample time to answer their question completely before you move on. You're just a great interviewer, and this week has been off the chain. I have enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you very much.
And I wanted to say to the girls in Arkansas, roll, Tide, roll. And you have a great weekend, and above all, be safe, Paul. Thank you,
Linda. Man, Linda's got some lungs there to be able to hold that roll as long as she did.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
John is next in Mississippi. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going today?
Pretty well.
Yeah, this is on Ole Miss. They got the new quarterback, signed him up, Kelly. He goes off to Chicago, gets in a fight, gets arrested, and they decide whether they're going to throw him out of school. All right, the second scenario is they got a young boy that's he's the stepson of John Arthur Eves that ran for governor a couple of terms ago. Went down to spring break a couple of weeks ago, got a little tipsy, bit the head off a hamster. He was thrown out of school before we got back to Oxford.
He bit the head off a hamster?
Bit the head off a hamster. Got film doing it.
Never. And, I've never heard of that before. I mean, you got to be.
You can look it up. It's online.
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, so who did this again?
Anyway, they either need to let Kelly go.
Is there any video of that?
Or they either need to bury the hamster in Robert's backyard by the goldfish and let this boy back in school.
Now, John, let me make sure I wasn't paying close enough. You said, who bit the head off the hamster?
I think he's a freshman at Ole Miss.
Okay.
He's the stepson of John Arthur Eves.
Okay, and he's run for governor before, okay.
Right. And like I say, they threw him out of school before he got back to Oxford.
Okay.
And they threw him out of his fraternity. You know these boys don't drink up at Oxford.
No. I mean, by the way, John, I mean, you know, we've all been students before. I mean, I've had too much, but I've never bit the head off a hamster before. I mean, by the way, it's not easy to do. Hamsters are very quick.
It didn't look easy to do. It didn't look very fun when he did it.
I mean, you could bite the head off something. I was about to say something that would have probably gotten me fired. But a hamster can move.
What can you say? But I did want to put that in. I didn't know if y'all heard the story about it doing that or not.
You made my night. I mean, we have a dead goldfish and a headless hamster.
There you go. Look, I appreciate your show.
Okay, if anyone knows the story on the headless hamster, please let us know. We would like to devote Monday's show to that. Wow.
Thank you for listening to the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast. Tune into the Paul Finebaum Show every day from 3 to 7 Eastern on the SEC Network or on the ESPN Radio app.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
The new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals.
That one is gone.
The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.